Is she on? I mean,
I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is December 10th, special call board meeting, Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. We'll go through the opening and the welcome before we get to the presentation of the findings. We appreciate the district staff, all that they do, as well as their attendance here today. The members of the community, the representatives of the media that are here, all the folks that have gathered. So we appreciate your attendance, and we take that to mean that there's a level of excitement and anticipation in the air. Santa Claus is on the way. Right? We hope. Ms. Brown, has there been appropriate public notification of the meeting?
yes.
Thank you. And a confirmation of a quorum?
Yes.
We have 6 members present. I'm sorry, we have 5 members present. We have Ms. McDaniel joining us by phone. She's over there by the plant. So again, we welcome all of you. We will move forward with the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence.
Now I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While we're all standing, we take a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you.
We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Anyone opposed? If there's any comment about the agenda, hearing none, we'll move forward to the purpose. Thank you.
Chairman Reed, members of the board, first of all, I'd like to welcome our guests, Dr. Osborne and all of the Fairfield County staff and stakeholders. The advanced ed team has spent the last several days in Fairfield County examining our system to determine as to whether we meet the advanced ed system standards. We are very, very pleased to have them here today. I'm going to give him an opportunity to introduce his team. They come with a wealth of experience. In addition, we have Dr. Darrell Barringer, who's from Advanced Ed. You can stand. He is a state director with Advanced Ed, so we're very pleased to have him here. Maybe that means that Santa Claus is coming. If Santa Claus wasn't coming, maybe he wouldn't be here. But we're glad to have him here also. And before I turn the floor over, I'd like to recognize Dr. Edwards and her staff, who have done an outstanding job of preparing everything. And without further ado, Santa Claus, I'll give you the floor.
Madam Chair, thank you. Dr. Green, honored Board of Trustees. We interviewed over 300 people. I think you're all here. All of you that are here and staff, I thank you. I would have known I would have been introduced this way. I would have let my white beard grow, so you would have had a better... Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. If I don't need to hold that, I won't. Anyhow, we are glad to be here. We've had 4 wonderful days in your school district, and as you can imagine, it is a lot of work for us. When you see the number of people that we talked to, the amount of classrooms we were able to get into in just one day, we believe we've been in Fairfield for a long time. And that's the goal of these teams. Advanced Ed is designed and put together to give to the school districts and systems a way of progressing for continuous improvement, so all the successes that we saw and from so many of you heard continue every single day here. Our job is to look through a window and to see what kind of self-study the school systems do. We use their work to guide our work, and we apply it to the 5 standards that I'm going to share with you in a minute. You know, we try to make sure, and I'm an old man, I'm currently a clinical professor at a university, was a superintendent forever, 44 years in education. My grandkids think I'm 110. Dr. Barringer, there's nothing you can say at this point in time. Thank you very much. But I was an English teacher. I always thought, and it certainly is true here, that motivation pays a big difference in a thing called change. How you believe and how you see. And Helen Keller made a comment that I have on my wall at the university, and she says, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even, if somebody's mad, they know it, or even heard. They must be felt with the heart. You're going to see some quotes. You're going to see some words that we heard that almost embrace literally Helen Keller's feeling about this school district at this time. And it is amazing. Let me share with you our findings. And I know there's one slide you're waiting for, but anticipation is great. You see, I could go to that last slide, right, Doctor? I could go to that last slide, and you all walk out the door. No, we're not doing that. We're gonna hang around for a second. For those of you that are not aware of Advanced Ed, in your world, when we were here last time, it was SACS. SACS is still around, but it's merged to Advanced Ed. We work in over 32,000 institutions, serving over 20 million students. So by virtue of the combination of all the varied organizations, we have become quite large. I do want to introduce my team. They have been incredible. When every team member becomes a leader, and it doesn't just rely on a single person, I know the team has matured and worked well. In a couple cases, 2 of them I knew. They are my stalkers. Every time I turn around, they're a team member, which is great. However, the other ones I met just here. And that's very typical of these teams. As leads, the teams are populated by the state offices and our national office in Tempe's. But what happens is we don't know them, so on Sunday at 4 o'clock, we find each other. We learn about each other for the very first time. And I can assure you, if you ask them today, we know a lot more about each other today than we did on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And a lot more about Fairfield. I'm going to start with a gentleman that isn't on here because we don't like him that much. Now, a personal friend of mine, and I'm not saying it because he's here, one of the finest state chair, lead, presidents of Advanced that I've ever seen. He comes with gifts. He notified me when I took the appointment here in South Carolina to do this. He notified me with a whole plethora of information. I have never received that from any state. Daryl and I we've been together 2 weeks ago. We just got back from Cairo, Egypt, and Abu Dhabi, where we presented at a conference, and we reviewed a school somewhere out in the outside lane of Cairo. We'll be going back into Saudi Arabia again in February. He is a personal friend of mine and has done so much for Advanced Ed. South Carolina should be incredibly proud that Dr. Daryl Barringer is leading this operation. Daryl. Are you going to say something?
I will, just briefly.
I knew you would.
It's my pleasure to be here. It's not my first visit to Fairfield. I've been here a couple of times and highly engaged with Claudia and those of you who've worked hard. So I'm just here to celebrate. I just came, hey Janet, just came to hang out to celebrate with you. So it's a pleasure to be here. You got an awesome team, awesome leadership, and we in South Carolina are proud of what Fairfield's doing. So it's good to be here. Thank you.
Just as a sidebar, and I probably won't get all these numbers correct, but under Dr. Barringer's heading here in South Carolina, I think there's only 2 or 3 schools that are now not accredited by Advanced Ed. That's the work he has done to bring improvement, continuous improvement, and accreditation to a state, and that is amazing. My associate lead, Holly Wingard, you're up.
I'm Holly Wingard, and I'm from Spartanburg. I too am retired after lots of years in education and doing lots of different things. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all the hospitality that's been extended to us. It has been wonderful. And I thank you so very much for all your hard work. You've been amazing, and I appreciate everything you've done to make our job a lot easier.
Thank you. I was on a team with me 2 months ago, has been on teams before, and is my associate lead here, so I'm glad to have you back. She does a wonderful job. She's also a state lead here for the school systems here. A young man that joined us, we wanted to make sure his mother knew where he was, but they do. So Neil, stand up and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Neil Benson. I'm the Director of Secondary Education at Florence, South Carolina, and I also agree with Holly. The hospitality has been great. We appreciate all the information we've been able to obtain in our visit. So you should be all of you should feel proud about what you've done. Thank you.
Next team member, Ms. Young, came with an interesting problem. She had to leave for a couple hours because she had to defend her dissertation proposal. And I told her that's okay. If she fails, do not come back. Well, you can see what happened. Here she is. Stand up and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is LaShonda Young, and I'm actually from Columbia, South Carolina, so I'm very close to you. I'm a curriculum resource teacher in Richmond School District 1. So like my team members shared, your hospitality has been phenomenal. So thank you, and your hard work is not recognized. Thank you.
Paula Steele actually was on our team. Unfortunately, she had a flight out, and she could not stay. It was the last flight out of Dodge, and so she had to be on. She does express her sympathies for not being here. And also, Paula served with me on a couple of teams, well systems as well, and she's an outstanding. Some of you where she went would have known her very well. And so, anyway, she had to fly, so she's not here. A lady that's with us now, Whitney Jeffcoat, and I love the way Whitney is spelled, came to us from Dr. Behringer's office. She's his assistant, and I can't talk to him about what we talked about, but I may, at the end of the day. She does all the work in the office. She populates our teams for us. She works with Daryl, and he needs the help. And she just wanted to be part of our team to see how the other side of it goes. I haven't asked her what she thinks, but I will. But anyway, she was a wonderful person. We put her in the classrooms because she's so well qualified, and it was part of the interviewing process and part of our work as we did our deliberations over the last 4 nights. Stand up.
Good afternoon. I'm Whitney Jeffcoat, and I work in the South Carolina State Office for FCSD, and I live in Lexington County, so it's been great to be here and be a part of this wonderful team and see all the great things going on in Fairfield. Thank you.
As a team, we listened and we heard. I'll preempt the slide. We interviewed over 300 people in 2 days. We interviewed a lot of different, some of you were sitting in here in some of the teams that we had. What we like to do as a team is put together some thoughts and ideas and things we heard you say about this school district. So the Board of Trustees and the superintendent and the staff hear what we heard. Now there's more than this. Some of these were almost repeated several times, different words, but repeated. You can read them. I won't read them all to you. I will read the last one, which was repeated on several occasions. And it says, Fairfield schools are a very big part of our community. We are proud of their work now. And when you have a community that grows around a school and a school that grows within a community, that's power. And we heard that repeated on numerous occasions. And the other one was, my children feel safe and love to learn. And I think that's a great compliment in terms of what we heard. Again, more. When I complete the final report, which will reflect the words of everyone on my team, we'll probably have a few more for you in there. We also like to work on themes, the idea of what did we as a team listen, put together, synthesize, so maybe you get a general view of where we started our work. A school district moving rapidly to engage their motto of excellence through teamwork, and I do mean rapidly. Staff, you ought to give your, I don't know how you do it. It was one thing to have to put up with us, Dr. Edwards, but then everything else that went on, I got to share this. When we first came here, we had our first meeting. They were like statues. They would not talk. I'm not sure they were breathing. Were you? And the board, sorry board, I'm going to tell on them for a second. But what happened was, we finally decided to make sure they understood why we're here. and we got to be very good friends over these last couple days. Dr. Edwards, it's like you've been around everywhere. The preparation in this, for our visit, has been uncommon, extraordinary. And I will say this in public, and I don't remember his name, so I won't do that. But whoever catered our meals at the hotel is why they are calling me Santa Claus. Team, am I telling you the truth? Moving rapidly, empowered by the stability of leadership, effort, and success, embracing improvement through transformation, dedication, and commitment, with an emphasis on teaching and learning. Do you agree? It's wonderful. Repeated over and over. So themes that we took into our writing from the people that we talked to, and clearly, to be honest with you, a lot of the artifacts that we saw. Some beliefs, and by the way, these are pictures of your students. Some beliefs. For those of you that we interviewed, I always ask you in one word to tell me why I should bring, they're older now, but my two daughters here. These are repeated words that we heard over and over again in this visit. Passionate, nurturing, futuristic, emerging, innovative, dedicated, global, and collaborative. These are from parents, from stakeholders, and all of the people that we interviewed. It was one of the very few times, Dr. Behringer knows this, when we don't beg for negative, but I got to share this with you. We do ask, what improvements would you see? What are some of the challenges in the future? This one gentleman said, Dr. Oben, we're not talking about that. Okay. I said, yes, sir, and I moved on. And team, isn't that the truth? There were none. And now there are challenges, you know that, and they definitely know that, on things they're working on, and we know they have to continue to work on. But the perception of all of this is embodied in those words, and we wanted to share that with you. Okay, accreditation, what is it? Well, it's a protocol that commits to systematic, and sustainable improvement. It builds capacity and it stimulates effectiveness. Our 5 standards are engaged by research that suggests they work, and good districts that follow them and comply and do the things that they suggest, we know worldwide work. We've been doing this for over 100 years. And so when we come into a school district, we can suggest and say, but we do know that research supports and suggests the notions of what they do. That's accreditation. And this school system has taken it upon themselves to have us come in here and bring that level of understanding, that level of success to them. An external review, which is what we are here, we hope to guide that, obviously. We'll focus on teaching and learning, leadership, and resources. We take 5 standards and we narrow them into 3 categories. You'll see the results of those in a minute. And when we do that, as a team, we vote, for lack of a word, 3 times over the 4 days we're here. So it grows and moves, so we start to answer the questions and move away from that until finally, last night at 8 o'clock, which was early for a lot of this, we were able to put together our final thoughts and our final scoring. And that's a product of, again, good preparation. The review, well, you've met us. We look at powerful practices. We have opportunities for improvement priorities. You'll see an index. And then finally, the slide all of you are waiting for is our recommendation. So, again, you can't get there until you get to the rest of this stuff. So just relax. Here's the people we talked to, 341. Look at the students we engaged. And under our new protocol, it's very difficult to engage students because we really are we're in the classrooms. So I guess we're engaging students, but we're in the classrooms where we see them there. I know I took a half a day yesterday and didn't assign myself to a school because I wanted to travel around. I was greeted by ROTC cadets in the high school, uniformed and standing there. I got a chance to talk to them. I met with all kinds of students in the elementary building, and I saw bits and pieces of Dr. Green's bow tie. Speaking of which, if I could have found a bow tie, I would have worn it today, but I didn't. So we interviewed 341 people, but I think as note, 156 students, and basically those were students in one day. Our first domain is teaching and learning. We examine student performance results, quality of instruction, learner and family curriculum quality, and actually college and career readiness data that are available to suggest the future for your children. All right, these are some of our findings. An opportunity for improvement is something that we say to the school system is worth looking into, it's worth doing. They do not have to do it, but it's a suggestion. And meeting with Dr. Green and Dr. Edwards before this meeting, which we always do, there's ways they can combine this and make it a lot simpler than it's going to sound. Understand that these flowed from the system as well. Most of these were identified by your school system. That is amazing. It was not to the point where we created something or came in with that. The school system did it, and a lot of these have flown, and Dr. Green knows that, from their own introspective, which was imperative. 3.2, formalize and implement a district-wide policy and process that assures curriculum, instruction, and assessment throughout the system are monitored and adjusted systematically with response to data. It doesn't mean they're not doing it. Most districts today, because there's so much going on, have good autonomy, and they have it here. Schools are able to do the things that build their capacity. But with district, we're suggesting that they put a policy and process together. Stability is so important in anything we do. And we know what's happening today. We know how exciting it is. We want it to continue. And policies and procedures, board-level policies and procedures, assure that type of smooth transition that guarantees whoever is wherever that it continues. And we owe that to our children and future generations as well. So this is just more of a formalization than anything. Next one, develop and implement and evaluate a comprehensive district-wide continuous program of professional learning. A ton of professional learning goes on in this system. Each school pretty much does its own thing, and it does work. We once again are suggesting that because this is district accreditation, that they move forward and put the district component into play. And it's be easy to do because they've already started it. Again, this is one of the areas that the system also recognized. Another one, 3.9, this is an improvement priority, which means within the next 24 months, the board and the superintendent will have to submit to Dr. Behringer's office how well they're doing on this one. This is, you can read it, it's a student advocate. There are very few systems that I go to that have this formally in place. It came out of the bullying laws, it came out of security, it's bred in there, and what we look for to make this a level 4 is a formal process and policy. Again, don't lead to believe that nobody knows what the kids are doing. You know they do. You know the teachers do. This is more of a formal sense that we're recommending they do, and that is an improvement priority. Another one deals with, again, data and a comprehensive student assessment system that supports improvement in student learning. They have it everywhere. I sat in an elementary building with the most beautiful data wall I have ever seen, and I teach quantitative statistics at the university, and it was absolutely beautiful. So it's going on. Again, this has to do with a policy at the central level that kind of shores that together and makes sure it continues. And that is an improvement priority. And that represents 2 indicators in Standard 5, 5.1 and 5.4. And this is another one, and it deals with the training, provide training professional and sports staff in the interpretation. This is all about data. I don't know, I know the staff knows because I always ask it, how do you deal with all the numbers, student test scores, the intervention strategies, the information learning process with all of it? And it's tough. They have professional development weekly, and most of the buildings we went to, they meet weekly. But this again goes back to a district-wide notion of just making sure we bring that up to a level here. And that takes time, but it has a great start in terms of what we're doing. Elliott. Elliott are scores that we produce from an instrument called Elliott. I need to make sure that everyone understands this is not a teacher evaluation. We went into 52 classrooms for a minimum of 20 minutes in one day. We complete a form that has those 7 areas on it. We combine our scores, and this is the result. The AEN stands for Advanced Ed Networks Average. Those are averages from last year, brought forward just as a comparison. Look at your scores. That, staff and ladies and gentlemen and Board of Trustees, is what goes on in your classrooms. That's why we spend so much time in them. one note, and I'll just deal with that real quickly. The digital learning environment, believe it or not, worldwide is low, is it not, Dr. Behringer? You can see the average. It's 1.88 out of 4. We have seen, I haven't, but Holly, I think you saw some sub 1, like 0.9, which means they have technology, nobody uses it. Now granted, I went into the elementary that's a technology school, and it was unbelievable, by the way, but all of us had the same thing. That's the highest I have seen in a long time. Matter of fact, it may be the highest I have seen. That's a round of applause for technology and these teachers. All right, the next domain, standards 1 and 2, is leadership. Deals with governance and leadership, effectiveness, stakeholder improvement, capacity, and results. We have a powerful practice here. We probably came to this powerful practice, Board of Trustees and members, staff, the first night. And it reads, the superintendent is recognized for his visionary and servant-based leadership over the last 3 years that has provided a renewed passion for and dedication to the vision and mission of the Fairfield County Schools, inasmuch uniting all stakeholders to move from ordinary to extraordinary. Give him a round of applause. And I might add, too, it's not just him. That would embarrass him because we talked. It would embarrass me, too. Well, part of the goal was to do that. But anyway, it's his team. Servant leaders surround themselves with great people and ask 2 questions. What can I do to help you, and when do you want me to leave? Right? They do. And he has done that. The staff and the principals that we met here, the teachers that we met, the students that we met here. I sent home to my wife a outside board where you put things... Marquee. Thank you. Good French word. Marquee that had, welcome Dr. Steve Oborn. I know all you guys, when I found out all of you had that made me mad. Really, I thought it was good. Board of Trustees, we need to talk about that. That should have been one day. That should have been much. But when you go in your name, we've been welcomed before that way, but never by name. I walked into that elementary building, and it took my breath away. All these preschool students are lined up. I got pictures. All are lined up along the wall. They sang to me. I'm serious. I was a superintendent for 23 years and didn't have that. So it's under Dr. Green's and this Board of Trustees' work now that has brought to this district that peace that we saw, we felt, we heard, and touched every day we were here. And it was an amazing greeting, not to mention all the food again. It was just absolutely everywhere. We have an opportunity under here. Develop and implement a policy that's lockstep with the strategic plan and continuous improvement process. Again, a district-wide plan that deals with the continuous process initiatives that are in place. We felt as a team that we're really looking at clearinghouse, if that makes any sense, to start to combine the efforts of what has been so vast in this system over the last 3 years. And so they have it in place. It's probably just a little bit a matter of that filing system that goes. And we do have an improvement priority here. And this does deal at the governance level. We are putting in place under 2.2, develop, implement, review a governing body professional development plan that includes but is not limited to curriculum focused on conflict resolution, decision-making, supervision, evaluation, internal communication, inasmuch providing success. Board of Trustees, we came here knowing the past. We weren't oblivious to it. Dr. Behringer was part of that past. Right? The progress made today has been just shy of phenomenal. You're nodding, you must agree. Staff, I know you do. We want to make sure that continues. And what this does is give to the Board of Trustees and this school district an opportunity to put together some issues and ideas that move you forward. We believe once, because we have a lot of policies, this Board of Trustees is going to have to work with the staff with. So we can align them and direct them differently to do that. And I know with your help and your aspirations that occurs. And so we want to see that happen. We want to make sure that tomorrow gets better than today. That is an improvement priority will fall within that 24-month cycle. Finally, the last domain, we're getting closer. Can't you kind of assume what that is? Wouldn't it be kind of stupid for me to do all this jumping around and tell you sorry? All right, Opportunity 4.4, this is a district-wide resource management plan. They have many. This really deals with the addition of budget and facilities and kind of all the things that go on internal here. They do it, they have it, they're working on it as we speak. So this is not something they have to create, they just have to continue to do it. So it's not necessarily a new thing. They, by the way, also identified it, they being the system themselves. 4.6, technology plan. He's doing a wonderful job. This actually came from conversations with him. They're working on a technology plan now. You can imagine how tough a technology plan is. Buy a computer today and see what happens to it tomorrow. Can you imagine doing that in a system? And when I was a superintendent, my worst nightmare was that. And I know they're working on infrastructure in the elementary to get that Wi-Fi going. They're working with the community right now in terms of getting Wi-Fi in the west side, the west end, to get some better connections over there. And the school's leading some of that. That's wonderful. So anyhow, that deals with this as well. And they're doing it. You're going to see some index scores right now. The AE network average, these are the things I told you, these are your scores. Years ago, they were words, kind of good, great, that kind of stuff. It's a scale of 100 to 400. And you say, whoa, we're 263 and we're below the network average of 282 in all cases. Let me tell you something. Those are averages from last year. I don't know how, 45,000 is that? About 45,000 systems are represented on that average. They divide them into a squared variance. I won't get into that completely in standard deviation. They put that out there. This was built when all of our work, we developed consensus among us. So for instance, if one thought of 3 and one thought of 2, we had to work out a consensus. It became a whole number. You with me? So we had to go 2, 3. Now this year, each team member gets to score each standard themselves, rather than just through me. So now you're going to see that whole average lower. So it really isn't an adequate comparison, but even when it is, you are very, very, it's wonderful scores for you. Wonderful. So what does it mean? Wonderful. It's a starting point, board. It's a starting point for you, and that's what we want to give you. So they came out very, very nicely. The IAQ results indicate the school system is performing within acceptable ranges as compared to the expected criteria in other institutions, and very much so that is the case. I'll let you read that. Now you happy? Yeah. Don't leave. Improvement priorities must be addressed within 2 years. I shared with that. It's a journey that's beginning today. And finally, on behalf of Advanced Ed, the South Carolina office, Dr. Behringer, my team, and me, I thank you. The best meals I've had in a long time, the best people I've met in a long time. It's amazing when you feel that culture that you shared with us. Board of Trustees, I thank you. The hospitality you have provided us. Yes. The fact you brought us here, Dr. Behringer certainly was part of the past years and now knows that your hard work and your dedication, Dr. Green, with your Board of Trustees and the people here that you've engaged on in churches and town meetings and newsletters, staff the same way, has paid dividends today. because this is the greatest start you have in terms of your future. And I guess humbly, we would like to say that we're certainly thankful that we became part of it. So anyway, on behalf of my team, I'll be flying back to Florida, winter in Florida, and I'm a snowbird. You know what a Q-tip is? You ever heard this? I'm a Q-tip, not Santa Claus. White hair, white tennis shoes. I thank all of you for being here. Board of Trustees, thank you very much.
Thank you to the advanced team for your service to our district over the last few days, and Dr. Barrington as well for your assistance as state director. We really appreciate that. We certainly appreciate the findings. The presentation is lively and exciting and for these folks, and I think we all share a renewed excitement. It's a new day in Fairfield, and we feel that. And we've been feeling that. So it's so outstanding for us as board members to have an external team tell us that too. We have one employee and he's an outstanding one. And I will tell you that in our board docs and in our packets is his annual review, his evaluation. And we'll do that presentation next Tuesday at our board meeting. So we look forward to that.
Is he going to wait for the last page?
Yeah. It's only one page. But we look forward to that, and we look forward to the next 5 years. We look forward to the future in Fairfield. Thank you to the team that put all of this together. I know that y'all worked hard night and day, and you know, now you can take a deep breath and let some emotions flow.
And throw us out.
No, please no. There will be no discussion, I understand, so if there are no more questions or if there's nothing else anyone to add here, we will take a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Did you go?